incentive to come out and try and exploit this defense in the passing game.
Troy Williamson back deep for the Vikings. Lawrence Tynes will get things started for the New York Giants, and we are underway at the Meadowlands. Kickoff bounces out of bounds, which will give the Vikings tremendous field position. They will start at the 40.
And they're going to be at the 45. I think they're going to get a chance to add 5 more to that.
There is a penalty flag back at the 30-yard line.
There was a second foul. Offside, number 36 of the kicking team. That penalty will be declined.
Can't get the double pop.
Walt Anderson, our referee this afternoon. Vikings have used 3 different starting quarterbacks this season. Jackson making his 7th start this year, 9th of his NFL career. Minnesota without Adrian Peterson once again. Chester Taylor in the backfield gained 164 yards on the ground last week in a win over Oakland. Vikings fake the reverse, and Taylor is forced back by the former Minnesota Viking Fred Robbins.
You look at Tavares Jackson, what he's done. I think one of the impressive things coming into this game is you find out he's 4-2 as a starter, but look at how the offense is set up. 264 yards per game running the football during those 4 wins, only 133 yards passing.
Off the play fake, Jackson going deep, far side, and the pass is caught and taken into the end zone for a touchdown by Sidney Rice. There is a flag.
I think they're going to get Sidney Rice for offensive pass interference.
Pass interference, number 31.
No.
Defense. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
You know, we talked about how that Vikings offensive line, they come out and they want to run the ball. This is the play action right here. Freeze it right there. All these guys, linebackers, bit. Everybody was looking for that run. Go ahead, roll it. That's why the guy was wide open downfield. He drew everybody right here on this little play action, which wasn't real great. But everybody's looking for that run that we talked about earlier.
So on the second play from scrimmage, a 60-yard touchdown pass from Tavares Jackson to the rookie out of South Carolina, Sidney Rice. And the Vikings need only 41 seconds to take an early lead here at the Meadowlands.
Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane.
Well, Darryl, Tavares Jackson has thrown 3 touchdown passes this season. All 3 have been 60 yards.
It's amazing. I mean, when they hit their passes, they're all the way down the field, and I think that that's a function of how they commit to the run. You get situations where you don't have a lot of defenders in the secondary.
Ahmad Bradshaw, the rookie out of Marshall, on the return for the Giants. And Bradshaw takes it out to the 35-yard line.
Well, let's go back and take a look at what happens when you try and shut down a running game. Here comes your safety. He is going to be your 8th man into the box. Now what happens is, as Tony talked about the play action, you get up there, you get bit. Now look, here goes your safety back here. He's going to give him a little look. He's going to take him to that side of the field. You've got one-on-one press on the outside. Now you've got that whole side of the field wide open, and it's a well-thrown ball into good coverage. Actually, Aaron Ross in decent position.
Giants with 2 tight ends, Reuben Drones in the backfield in the absence of both Brandon Jacobs and Derek Ward. And now Mike Matthews, a tight end, shifts into the backfield on 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line.
False start, number 67, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's on the right tackle, Kareem McKenzie. So you had to look at Tom Coughlin. Giants start the game with a kickoff out of bounds. They give Minnesota the ball on the 40. 2 plays later, a 60-yard touchdown pass And now a penalty pushes the Giants back 5 yards.
A very difficult start for the New York Giants right now, but because of that pressure, getting an alignment to jump, what Minnesota does, they're going to show heavy pressure. If they're effective with it in some way, shape, or form, you're going to continue to see it.
Here comes the blitz. Manning gets rid of it, and it's caught out at the 36-yard line by Dominic Hickson, his first catch as a Giant. Dwight Smith was coming up the middle in Eli Manning's face.
Yeah, he had a free path to Eli Manning. Watch, Eli stands right in there. He knows he's got a hot receiver. There's an adjustment on the outside by Dominic Hickson. Doesn't panic, gets him the ball, but Minnesota able to get an unblocked guy to the quarterback. They'll continue to bring pressure until you show them that you can stop it.
On 2nd and 9, this is Reuben Drones. And Drones takes it out across the 45 for a Giants first down.
Well, all three of the Giant running backs have good yards per carry. Brandon Jacobs is up around 6. Derek Ward is 5.5 plus. Now, Reuben Drones, when you look at him, he doesn't have that yards per carry overall, but he's been a short yardage goal line specialist. When you take those plays out, he's up around 4.5 yards per carry. So all three of these running backs are very effective. And don't forget Reuben Drones, 2 1,200-yard seasons as a featured back, one in Denver and one in Cleveland.
You had a look at Brandon Jacobs, inactive today, off the play fake to Drones. Manning hits Shockey for a first down in Vikings territory. Jeremy Shockey makes the catch for a gain of 20.
He's going to be very important this afternoon. If you're going to make a commitment to the run and stay honest, force that defense to play both sides, Jeremy Shockey becomes your guy. You see him up the seam, and you have to attack a defense where it's weak. This is a very, very good run defense. They've really struggled in the secondary, making plays. They're young back there, and with Antoine Winfield out, I mean, it's a big mistake not to force them to make plays in the passing game.
We'll see if the Giants go after the rookie McCauley. And they do on this play. Burris, another first down. He was lined up against McCauley, who was starting for Winfield, and Burris gains 20 yards.
This is a good adjustment by Eli Manning and Plaxico Burris because it looked like it was going to be one of those quick screens to the outside, but there's press coverage. So there's an adjustment by Plaxico Burris back to the inside on a quick slant.
Burris, of course, playing through the right ankle injury. Barely practices during the week. Inside handoff to Drones, and Reuben Drones takes it down to the 10-yard line. Gain of 5. Ray Edwards made the tackle.
When you see a team that has this much disparity in how they're playing in the overall scheme of the game, you have to attack that weak spot. I mean, look at how good that run defense is. And they've been that good for quite some time. They were #1 in the NFL last season also. But they have struggled in the passing game. They've got a little bit of youth back there. Their best player is out. And when they have an opportunity to make plays, they're not making those plays. So continue to challenge them by throwing the ball.
2nd and 5 from the Vikings 10. Reuben Drones. And Drones forcing his way down to the Minnesota 5-yard line as we check in for the first time with Kurt Menefee.
To leave with an injury. We'll update you on his condition as the day moves on.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Redskins looking to avoid a 3rd consecutive defeat. 3rd and 1 for the Giants from just outside the 5. Drones. And Reuben Drones has a first down and pushes his way all the way to the Vikings 1-yard line.
They have not only been maintaining the balance in their play selection by running the ball, they've been effective running the ball against a very good Minnesota defense. And it's this offensive line. I don't think the Giants' offensive line gets enough credit. They function very well as a group. That starting 5 does a great job. They've been playing together for 3 years now. They understand how the guy plays next to him. You can see the results they've had on this opening drive. Very effective running the ball into this Minnesota front.
Giants send in Guy Wimper as an extra blocker. 3 tight ends. Penalty marker. Manning looking end zone. He throws and it's batted down. Kevin Williams got a piece of it.
Offside, number 94, defense. half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
That's on Pat Williams.
Well, you wonder if Eli Manning went on the hard count down there, because I mean there's not a lot to be gained offensively going on that hard count. You heard the double count. And if you get a false start penalty, you're going to lose 5 yards. Defensively, jumping off sides, you only give up a yard. A lot of teams don't go hard count down by the goal line.
On first and goal, this is Reuben Jones, and he is in for a Giants touchdown.
You talked about it, go right after what they're the best at, and this Minnesota Vikings defense is known for stopping the run. You got to love the play calling. Right now, the defense of the Vikings is looking around saying, what's going on here? I'm telling you, I've been in that situation when I was with the Ravens. All of a sudden, teams start running on you, and you're guessing what's going wrong. Panic right now.
Here's the Giants averaging 5 yards per carry. They have tied this game at 7. Meadowlands, both teams score on their opening possession.
Yeah, but a completely different way than you would have thought. You would have expected Minnesota to have the 8-play, 65-yard touchdown drive capped off by a run, and the New York Giants to hit the big pass on a quick strike scoring drive.
Tynes keeps this kickoff inbounds, taken at the 9 by Williamson. Williamson out across the 30 to the 32. Craig Dahl makes the tackle on special teams, and now the Vikings offense comes out for the second time.
Good to see Chester Taylor have the type of game that he had last week. He's brought in here as a free agent, and then all of a sudden a guy of Adrian Peterson's caliber slides to you at number 7 in the draft, and you can't let a guy like that go by, so they bring him in. And the way that Chester Taylor has managed this entire situation, and then to take advantage of an opportunity last week, speaks a lot about his character. He's a pretty high-class kid.
Here's Taylor up the middle, and he told us yesterday it's frustrating, but I try to take advantage when I get my opportunities.
And he knows they're going to be few and far between, so he has to do his best. Now, as Jay Glazer told you in the pregame show, Adrian Peterson will probably be on the field next week against Detroit. But as they get back into that flow, it's going to be like it was in the beginning of the year. They're going to share time between Chester Taylor and Adrian Peterson. So Chester knows that he's got an opportunity over the next few weeks to make a good contribution to this offense.
2nd and 6 from the 37. The play blown dead.
False start. Number 81, offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Well, if you haven't seen the Vikings this season, they have rushed for 178 yards per game, best in the league. Led by the rookie out of Oklahoma, Adrian Peterson. Chester Taylor, the veteran, the former Baltimore Raven, a big day last week against the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, but with all that success running the football, they still don't have a 100-yard receiver. Sidney Rice, a great opportunity to fix that this afternoon.
Pass is caught by Williamson. He's driven out of bounds by Sam Madison. Vikings have gone 24 games without a 100-yard receiver. Williamson was the last to do it early last season.
We talked about the Giants coming with a blitz. You saw it on that last play. When you call the blitz, it doesn't have to be a pass. It could be a run also. You want to get as many people up there, but somebody's got to come free. If you're rushing more than 5 guys, everyone's going to have a one-on-one. Somebody's got to break free and get in his face.
3 wide receivers set, 3rd down and 3. Jackson hit from behind. He lost the football. And it's recovered at the 49-yard line by Bobby Wade.
Tavares Jackson's got to have a better mental clock in his head. He's going up against the New York Giants defense. They lead the league in sacks. They have 2 great speed rushers on the outside. That clock has to go off. That ball has to come out, or you've got to tuck it away and run. He made a similar mistake last week against the Oakland Raiders right at the end of the first half. He's trying to make something happen when the play is virtually dead at that point. Bring it down and run or throw it away.
So the Vikings get a new set of downs thanks to a fortunate bounce. Taylor into Giants territory. Gain of 3 yards on first down. Antonio Pierce in on the tackle.
Osi Umenyiora on that last play where he stripped the ball. What great vision. You know, it's tough as a defensive lineman when you're blitzing, all of a sudden you come free, you're wide open. You need to go and have vision on that ball. He does a nice job of attacking it and getting that ball out there.
9th sack of the season for Umenyiora. Giants lead the league with 35. 2nd and 7. Play action. Jackson rolling right. Could not find anyone. Throws it out of bounds. So a 3rd and 7 coming up for the Minnesota Vikings.
Better decision though. You get to the outside, you've got a little bootleg going, you're moving the launch point, changing the spot where you're going to throw the ball. You get outside, there's nobody there, just throw it away. Line up again on 3rd down and take another shot to try and get yourself another set of downs. But don't try and make something happen that's not there. This pass rush of the New York Giants is very fast, very athletic. If you hold it, they're going to get there.
Jackson out of the shotgun, a free play. Penalty markers. And Jackson finds Wade for a Vikings first down.
Offside, number 92, defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
Both Michael Strahan and Osi Umenyiora quick on that one. They're trying to find one of those snap keys you're always talking about, Goose.
Yeah, I think they went on that head bob in the center. They were looking for something, boy. When these guys go and they see the littlest thing, they come off the ball like lightning.
From the 39 on first down, the give to Taylor. Good second effort. He gains a couple as we check in once again with Kurt.
Well, not just Steven Jackson. Mark Bulger's been out of the lineup. They lost some of their offensive linemen earlier in the season, so they've had to weather that storm. Don't know if there's enough time for them to get back in the playoff hunt.
Seattle's lead over Arizona. As Taylor is met initially by Reggie Torborg, starting today for the injured Matthias Kiwanuka.
They do a really nice job of coming up on here and showing the blitz. The Vikings messed with the snap count a little bit and really caught Wilson coming. But when he gets in the backfield, he needs to go and find the guy with the ball. I think he thought it was a pass. It was a run.
Jackson on 3rd and 6. He's hit as he throws. Kevin Dockery came uncovered.
You watch right here, Dockery on the outside. First guy takes the running back, the next guy goes, wraps up. That's what you want to do. When you send 2 guys to the same side, one guy has to go and take the blocker. The other guy is going to come free, but you got to know where the ball is.
R.W. McQuarters back deep for the Giants, awaiting Chris Kluwe's punt. Kluwe waiting at midfield. Angled towards the sidelines, and Kluwe does a terrific job pinning the Giants deep in their own territory. They will start from their own 10. Sidney Rice, the early quick strike, and then Reuben Drones answers for the Giants. Good job by the Giants defense on the last Vikings possession. Now the Giants will start from their own 10-yard line in a 7-7 game. 3 receiver set on first down. Manning throws it out of bounds. Burris was bottled up by McCauley.
On that opening drive, the New York Giants were very effective running the football, and to do that, you've got to control their 2 defensive tackles inside. very big. Pat Williams, Kevin Williams, if you're going to have success running the football, you've got to control them. Now, Tony, they're listed.
Yeah.
They're listed at 311 and 317.
Yeah, we got to mess with those numbers a little bit in the middle there. Remember, they used to come around and ask us when we weighed. They put us on a scale. Love that.
On 2nd and 10, drones, and it's Pat Williams, listed at 317 pounds, who makes the tackle.
Looks good there, man. I don't think he's a pound over 317.
Nah, not at all. Watch him though. It's all about penetration. If you're going to be able to run the football, you've got to stop the penetration. He's able to beat the backside of that slip and get around. Now at 317 plus, right, Tony? 317 plus.
Yeah, plus a little bit.
Plus
maybe.
a little bit
Just
more.
because of Thanksgiving.
But he's still, I mean, they're so quick in those short spaces. So, I mean, if you can maintain the line of scrimmage and not allow Pat and Kevin to get penetration, you've got a shot at running the football.
3rd down and 7, intercepted by Darren Sharper. And Sharper, as he did here at the Meadowlands 2 years ago, takes it into the end zone for a Vikings touchdown.
They must have done something with their coverage. They had to disguise something because Eli Manning got the ball out quick, but it was thrown into double coverage. We're going to go to Shockey. Now Shockey's going up the field. He's never turned around to look for the ball. E.J. Henderson's coming inside out. Darren Sharper at the safety position is coming in underneath. So a miscommunication with quarterback and wide receiver leads to an interception for a touchdown.
It's the 10th touchdown of Sharper's career. He had a huge game here at the Meadowlands 2 years ago with 3 interceptions, brought 1 back for a score, and he has more interceptions than anybody in the league over the last 8 seasons. We asked Darren Sharper when we met with him yesterday about that game 2 years ago. He told us, I hope for a repeat performance.
He took the first step.
Then he knocked on wood, Kenny.
Yes,
he was
he did.
knocking on the table. Very superstitious guy. I played with his brother in Baltimore. The whole family is very superstitious.
His brother Jamie, and Tony, you pointed out that he was knocking on a table that was not necessarily made out of wood.
Yeah, but I didn't want to, I let it go.
Ahmad Bradshaw takes it out to the 26. Well, it was November of 2005 when Darren Sharper picked off 3 Eli Manning passes. Eli threw a career-high 4 picks in that game, and Sharper has done it again this afternoon. Giants back on offense, trailing 14-7. Start from their own 26. Off the play fake, the pass is caught by Mike Matthews, the rookie out of Georgia Tech. His 5th reception of the season. Eli Manning picked off moments ago by Darren Sharper, who returned it for a touchdown.
That was one of the big things last week that Eli was able to avoid. He didn't have any turnovers, managed the game very well, which every quarterback needs to do. The game manager thing, to me, in my opinion, is a misnomer. Every quarterback has to manage the game well as part of the foundation of progressing and being a good NFL quarterback.
On 2nd and 7, Manning spins out of trouble and then fires downfield. Burris, the intended receiver, Cedric Griffin, on the coverage.
Well, the Giants have done nothing to stop Minnesota from bringing pressure. Boy, they had E.J. Henderson right up the middle, puts the running back in a tough situation. Eli Manning scrambling quite a bit this afternoon.
Brother Peyton is in attendance, coming off the big win on Thursday over the Atlanta Falcons.
He's hoping that these extra 3 days off allows his team to get a little bit healthier. The Indianapolis Colts really banged up at this point of the season. They're in a dogfight down the stretch to get that second playoff spot in the AFC.
3rd down and 7. Manning's pass is caught by a wide-open Amani Toomer for a Giants first down as Toomer takes it down to the Vikings 40, a 31-yard pass play.
You know, sometimes people have an idea of how you want to attack a quarterback. And for the Giants, they want to bring pressure into Eli's face because they feel sometimes it forces him to throw off his back foot. Well, they just did that on that last throw. He's got really nowhere to go to step up. He throws off his back foot, but look at the throw to Amani Toomer on the outside.
Amani does a nice job of adjusting and seeing Eli in the backfield and going and finding a spot where there is no defender.
And that was the longest completion for Manning the last 5 games. Drones up the middle for a gain of 2. E.J. Henderson, Vikings leading tackler, made the stop.
That was a slow developing play, Tony, because when Chris Snee went through as the guard, I mean, there was a nice running lane through there, but obviously collapsed. Ruben Drones a little bit slower getting into that hole. A big separation between his lead blocker up inside and when he was coming through with the ball.
Those guys up front do a really nice job of giving you a false hole there and closing it up real quick.
3 wide receivers, 2nd down and 8. Giants keep it on the ground with Drones. And Drones able to gain 3 down to the 35-yard line before he was forced back by Chad Greenway and Pat Williams. You know, we asked Sean O'Hara, the Giants center, about the differences in blocking for Jacobs, Ward, and now Drones. And O'Hara said we block the same way for all 3 guys. Our job is to open up the hole, get them 4 yards. The rest is on them.
Everything else is a bonus. They're going to have their hands full doing that on a consistent basis today. They're off to a good start. I'm very impressed with the way they're playing against this Vikings defensive front line.
Here comes that pressure up the middle again, Moose, looks like.
3rd down and 5. Manning steps up and throws. Incomplete, intended for Sonoris Moss. McCauley on the coverage.
A good time that time by the Giants. Coordination between the offensive line and the running backs. E.J. Henderson up the middle. Ruben Drones waiting on Chad Greenway. So they've got the linebackers picked up. And then just a little stumble by Sonoris Moss coming out of that break.
And now the Giants, Darrell, will go for it on 4th and 5. Would have been about a 53-yard field goal attempt. Not much wind. Giants have to get to the 30 for a 1st down. Manning's pass is incomplete, and the Vikings will take over on downs.
Again, a miscommunication between quarterback and wide receiver in almost the same area that we saw Jeremy Shockey and Eli Manning not on the same page. This time, it's Amani Toomer. He's going to come out of the slot. He's going to come inside. He goes back out. It looks like Eli expected him to keep coming across. So right now, they're out of sync a little bit offensively.
So the Giants give the ball back to the Vikings. Look at head coach Brad Childress. Minnesota leading 14-7. Jackson in trouble. Down he goes. It's the former Minnesota Viking, Fred Robbins, coming up with his 3rd sack of the season.
He doesn't get a lot of notoriety this season because of those 4 defensive ends.
Defense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Penalty flag was thrown right around midfield, and it's against the Giants.
But Fred Robbins had a real nice season last year working at the inside, but with everything that's happened defensively this year with Michael Strahan and Osi Umenyiora and that 4 defensive end package, you know, you're not talking a lot about him. He has an opportunity. With Matthias Kiwanuka being out, he's going to get more snaps playing that defensive tackle role in passing situations.
At the end of the 1st quarter.
Minnesota Vikings with a 14-7 lead over the New York Giants. Teams will switch sides. Fox NFL Sunday will return after these messages from your local Fox station. Tom Coughlin and the New York Giants trailing the Minnesota Vikings 14-7 as we begin the 2nd quarter. Kenny Albert, Darrell Johnston, Tony Siragusa from the Meadowlands as Chester Taylor takes it out across the 43-yard line. Reggie Tormore made the tackle.
Goose, what's your thoughts on watching these Minnesota Viking offensive linemen?
I'll tell you what, they definitely come off the ball. They're down, they're low. You know, I'm having a hard time going and figuring out when it's run or when it's pass. That's why I think the play action is so effective for the Vikings.
Jackson on 2nd and 7. Looking for the marker. Forced out of bounds by Justin Tuck at midfield.
You know, you talk about running backs and you go into everything they do, whether they're a receiver or a runner, their ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, but just being smart. Watch Chester Taylor here. That's not his responsibility. He's not supposed to be there, but he knows that Fred Robbins has got his guy beat. He's going to get to Tavares Jackson, but just that little shoulder that gets him knocked back inside. Tavares Jackson's able to come out, put them in an opportunity to get another set of downs. Have your head on a swivel, never run past color.
On 3rd and 1, Chester Taylor into Giants territory, and he picks up a first down.
You know, I know it's 3rd and 1, but if you look at this offensive line group right here, look at the push they get. That Giants defensive line is just getting pushed back. Look, 2 yards.
You know,
Gotta get low.
You know, the impressive thing, Tony, is they stay like shoulder to shoulder. They're not off on different levels. When that surge goes, it
like
all goes
it's
together.
like a wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Antonio Pierce told us. He said, we have to set up a wall against the Vikings offensive line because it seems like they always win the line of scrimmage. Here's Taylor. Taylor gains 1 down to the 48. Jabril Wilson came up to make the tackle along with Pierce.
It is a run-first offense, but I like what Brad Childress has done in taking that mentality and incorporating it into what they do throwing the football. And Tony's talked about, you know, how open the play-action pass should be. But they don't call it play-action pass. To them, it's a run pass. It's always a run first. That way, the offensive linemen are giving you that same look. You heard Tony. I can't tell the difference between run or pass. That's because that first step, every time the Minnesota Vikings come off the ball, has a run look to it.
Taylor on 2nd and 10. The Giants 45. Tony, what are some of the keys you would be looking for as far as run or pass?
Well, the one key that I am starting to pick up on right now is the depth of the back. But you got to look and see when that offensive lineman's down, all the weight he has on his hand. He's going to be nice and low. But if you see that and all of a sudden you play run 100% and you get that play action pass, it's hard to convert from that run. Now you got to go into your movement or try to get something out. The guy's going to be locked up on you. They're going to get their hands inside. It's going to be tough to get pressure when you're playing run.
3 wide receivers, 3rd down and 7. Vikings have to get to the 39. Jackson tackled back at the 47-yard line by OCU Manura.
He never stops. He has an unbelievable motor, Moose. OCU Manura.
He really does. I mean, you think of OCU Manura as just a speed rusher on the outside, but the time that he has spent with Michael Strahan, learning his counters, learning how to use leverage, he's become really a complete pass rusher. And then when you add to that the fact that the guy just never stops going after the quarterback, that's a handful all afternoon.
Umanura's 2nd sack today, his 10th this season. Bluey put a little too much on it. So Jeremy Shockey and the Giants will start from their own 20-yard line, trailing the Vikings by 7. Welcome back. Vikings lead the Giants 14-7. A look at Giants offensive leaders as they start from their own 20-yard line. On 1st down, the give to Drones, and he runs right into the waiting arms of Ben Lieber.
Well, let's take a look at what this pressure for the Vikings is doing. It's got the Giants confused. You've got 2 guys up looking like they're going to blitz, but E.J. Henderson is going to pull out. Jeremy Shockey goes straight. I think that Eli Manning thinks that this route is going to be broken off, but it's not. Now, this leads to the interception by Darren Sharper, takes it back for a touchdown. On the next drive, you had a similar situation. You've got pressure coming here and here. He's expecting Amani Toomer to break it inside, but he goes in and then back out. So right now, that pressure has caused some confusion between Eli Manning and his receivers. So it's not always about getting the sack, just challenging them on what they're doing offensively.
On 2nd and 9, the toss to Drones. Penalty flag as Fred Evans made the tackle of Reuben Drones.
Holding number 66, offense. 10-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
That's on the left tackle, David Deal, as we send it down to Tony with a very special guest on the Viking sidelines.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Adrian Peterson. Adrian, first of all, how's your knee doing?
My knee is doing fine. You know, I've been practicing a little bit all week and just getting ready to get back on the field.
Coach said it was really tough for him that you wanted to play in today's game.
Oh yeah, I definitely wanted to play. You know, Eric Sugarman and his staff been working real hard to get me back on the field. But I feel like once I get a week of practice on my belt, I'll be ready to go.
Well, with Chester Taylor out there, you guys get along in the locker room? I mean, you guys seem like you work good together.
Oh yeah, we definitely work good together. He's been a mentor. He always helped me along with anything I need. So we work good together.
Are we going to see you next week against Detroit?
Guys will. Y'all see me next week.
All right, look, you look pretty good warming up there before the game, and I'll tell you what, your offensive line, just watching them today, I mean, you got to really be happy with playing behind a bunch of guys like that just really come off the ball unbelievably.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those guys up front really put in work, you know, and we believe in those guys, and they've been making things happen for us.
Appreciate it. I hope you buy him something nice for Christmas.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that.
All right, back to you guys upstairs.
All right, thanks, Goose, and our thanks to the Vikings for allowing Tony to chat with Adrian Peterson during the game. Penalty flags on 3rd down and 19, picked off Dwight Smith, the interception. But keep in mind, there was a flag prior to the play.
Well, Eli's just not seeing the field real well right now. He's got a safety sitting in the hole for that deep in.
Illegal formation. Number 66, offense. Not lined up on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is an interception. 1st down, Minnesota.
This passing game is completely out of sync. An area of weakness for the Minnesota Vikings has been a strength today. Now, Plaxico Burress has been fighting this ankle injury the entire season. It's been sore and sore the last few weeks. I think that Eli Manning has to understand that. It's going to be very difficult for Plaxico Burress on a deep in route to be going vertically down the field, stick that foot in the ground, and break hard at a 90-degree angle. He rounded that break in, that ball sailed, easy interception for Dwight Smith.
We saw Adrian Peterson celebrating. The handoff to Chester Taylor, bounces to the outside, then punch towards the end zone, touchdown! What a run by Chester Taylor.
There's a sequence of plays right there that is just going to drive Tom Coughlin absolutely crazy. I mean, offensively, you turn the ball over, give him a short field, and then you come out and just terrible tackling on this touchdown run by Chester Taylor.
Michael Strahan does a great job of coming down. He doesn't get him finished up there at the end, but Chester Taylor does a great job of breaking tackles and finding that end zone.
5th touchdown of the season for Taylor. So the Vikings capitalize on Dwight Smith's 3rd interception of the season. And they now lead the Giants by the score of 21-7. We mentioned earlier, Eli Manning picked off a career high 4 times by the Vikings here 2 seasons ago. 2 interceptions so far today.
It's amazing to me. I really thought this was going to be an opportunity for Eli to have one of those games. And the pressure is really confusing this Giants passing attack. They have not been in sync the entire game.
Todd Bradshaw. Hit hard at the 16-yard line by Marcus McCauley. As we take another look at Chester Taylor's touchdown.
Samantha. Hi, I'm Ava. Hi, I'm Anthony. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank goodness they all look like your mom.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Tony is not the only member of the Siragusa family on the field today.
Sorry, camera guys. They were pulling buttons and moving a lot of gadgets. Everything's fuzzy at home. I'm sorry.
Notice the camera that shoots Tony is still working fine.
Not that one, Anthony. Go to the one over there.
Giants back on offense, trailing by 14. And off to Reuben Drones. And Drones tackled by Pat Williams after gaining a yard.
Well, the tough situation right now for the Giants offense is their passing game is out of sync right now. And at times in those situations, you know what, hey, let's lean on the running game a little bit and let's figure out what's going on. Let's look at these pressures, find out what they're doing to us, find out why we're not functioning well. But against this defense, you can't go back to the running game. They're too tough up front.
Second down and 9. Off the play fake. Manning fires, and it's incomplete off the fingertips of Amani Toomer. What's going on with the Rams and the Seahawks? Thanks, Kurt. Seahawks have won the last 5 over their division rivals, the St. Louis Rams. Giants facing a 3rd down and 9. They have to get to the 26 for a first down. 3 wide receivers set. Manning gets rid of it. Caught by Shockey. There is a flag. Shockey stopped about a yard shy of the first down marker.
Offside, number 24, defense. 5-yard penalty. It's still 3rd down.
That's on Dwight Smith, who had the last Vikings interception.
Yeah, even with Dwight Smith jumping it that way, what Reuben Drones did just to get a piece of him. Watch, he's got to cross Eli's face, get around him, and then get back and try and get an angle on him. That's great vision and great effort. One of the hardest things to do as a running back in protection is when you have to cross your quarterback to get to your man and not disrupt his throwing motion. That was well done by Reuben Drones.
Drones making his first start as a Giant. Trick play from the Giants. The direct snap to Drones. More penalty flags as Eli Manning stepped out of the way and Drones took the snap.
Illegal formation, number 66, offense. That penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
That's the 3rd penalty called today on the left tackle of the Giants, David Deal.
And you mentioned the fact it's a trick play. It's one of those ones where you have to know David Deal is he's just not up on the line of scrimmage. He's getting back too far. And in that situation, you didn't need to be back too far. I mean, that didn't give David Deal any type of advantage.
First punt of the day by Fields. Welby Moore falls on it back at the 21-yard line, but the Vikings say it hit out of bounds. So the officials will talk it over and decide if in fact the punt bounced out of bounds before coming back into the field of play. I thought it bounced out.
It sure did look like it. Took a crazy turn back in.
It was close.
Ball hit out of bounds at the 35-yard line. First down.
So it did in fact hit out of bounds. It will be Vikings football.
You see there the ball goes out of bounds. Now let's just play out a scenario. Let's say they called that inbounds and Welby Moore actually fumbled the ball and the Giants recovered it. Minnesota would have been able to go back and challenge that to get the ruling to be 1st and 10 here at the 35.
But it was ruled that it hit out of bounds. Chester Taylor on the first down carry. Vikings scored on their 2nd play from scrimmage. They have only 5 first downs in the game, yet they lead 21-7 thanks in large part to their defense.
Yeah, their defense and the weakest part of their defense. It's not the running defense that they're hanging on to. And you see right there what happens to this team when they score 20-plus points. So the Giants have played themselves into a difficult position right now in this football game.
They have to go back to the pass, Moose. They can't stay with that run. They have not been productive.
2nd down and 7. Jackson sets up the screen to Taylor. And Taylor has a Vikings first down out near midfield.
Go on, Tony. I know you want to talk about Barry Caulfield in that effort.
Well, you just got to like when a big guy goes, turns, runs, makes a tackle downfield. I mean, you know, you're watching right here in the middle. Caulfield does a great job of recognizing he's out of the screen right now. Here he is right here. Turns, Runs him down. Watch this big man right there. Watch him. Oh!
Acceleration.
That's nice. It's 311 pounds, right, Moose?
Listed.
First and 10 from midfield. Good protection, and Jackson hits Sidney Rice for a Vikings first down at the Giants' 38-yard line, a gain of 13.
Well, you have to respect that run so much. And, you know, whether it's Adrian Peterson or Chester Taylor, they've both shown the ability to have big afternoons. And it gives you that little hesitation. And you know, Tony talked about how difficult it is to transition during the course of the play from thinking of run to pass.
From the Giants' 38, Taylor. Taylor gains 1. Kavika Mitchell made the tackle. Chester Taylor, 4 seasons in Baltimore, had a big game against the Giants in his only previous meeting 3 seasons ago. There is the man he is replacing, Adrian Peterson.
The Giants defensive line and linebackers doing a great job with the run and pass read. I think they're looking at Chester Taylor there, the depth of his back. He's like at 7 yards deep. When they see that, they know it's going to be a run. They're calling it out. Everybody's on the same page right now.
Now it's Mewelde Moore in the backfield. He's only 5 yards deep. It's a pass. And the catch is made by Sidney Rice. Rice close to another first down. Gain of 9 as we check in once again with Kurt.
A celebration for a guy whose team is 3-7. Kenny, Moose, and Goose.
What I want to know
Kurt.
was young Anthony Saragusa flagged for taking over a camera.
Tony, you got to pay that fine, Tony.
That's all right. I got it.
Mewelde Moore down to the 26-yard line, brought down by James Butler.
Just
Now,
getting back to what Tony's talking about with these snap keys and just the distance of the back. And I've learned a lot from Tony in everything that he could collect pre-snap. And one of the first things that he would go to is depth of the back. When he's deeper, it's going to be a running play because it lets the play develop. If he's up closer, it's going to be a passing play because he wants to shorten the distance between he and who he would pick up in protection. And I think you're right, Tony. I think they're onto something with Chester Taylor's alignment.
There it is again. He was at 7, 8 yards right there. You know, I talk about the keys and told Moose, it's the depth of the back you really have to look at. You got to go and see if he's, like he said, you know, these are the pre-snappers. The depth of the running back is the biggest one. Everybody on the field can see it. You got some time to go. Number 2 is the eyes of the quarterback. If he comes out and he ain't looking at the defensive lineman, if he's looking at the secondary, you know it's going to be a pass. And then to go and back everything up, you look at the right, the center, and then the left tackle. You try to get their feet. If they're up on their toes, you know it's going to be a run. If they're on their heels, it's going to be a pass. They're the keys that a defensive lineman goes through. That's the progression.
passing situation here, and Jackson is taken down at the 28-yard line by Fred Robbins, who lost his helmet.
He's in no rush to put it back on either, Kenny.
Again, Tony, there's got to be something, because on certain snaps, those linebackers are walked right up in tight, and on other ones, they're back off the ball. And it's not because they're running a different style of defensive front. It's kind of the same alignments. It's just the depth of the linebackers. So they are definitely onto something.
Ryan Longwell from the left hash, a 46-yard attempt. Longwell's kick is good. So the Vikings extend their lead. It is now 24-7 Minnesota. Well, next Sunday, many of you will see the Seattle Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants will take on the Bears in the second game of our doubleheader. It all gets underway at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show. Speaking of the Eagles, Brad Childress worked for 7 years with the Giants defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo in Philadelphia.
You know, it's funny because they're going to know each other very well. They actually talked yesterday, and they were going to get together with their wives last night. But since Brad Childress has come to Minnesota, you can kind of see that he wanted to do things a little bit differently than they were being done in Minnesota. You know, I know that he looks at his team and the best opportunity for them is to run the football at this stage, but I think he's still a big advocate of balance and maybe leaning a little bit more towards the run. But Steve Spagnuolo, when he's come to New York, it's very similar to the defense that he learned from Jim Johnson. So I would give the edge, if you're really looking for one, to Brad Childress, because Steve is more similar in what they did in Philadelphia.
Bradshaw cuts to the outside and is tackled at the 27-yard line by Charles Gordon. So with 3:08 remaining in the second quarter, it's Brad Childress and the Vikings leading Steve Spagnuolo and the Giants by 17 as they shared a pregame hug.
Got guys from all over getting back together. That was Eric Sugarman, the head trainer for the Minnesota Vikings, who was in Philadelphia with both Brad and Steve.
Giants start from their own 27. Manning out of the shotgun. And again, some miscommunication. The intended receiver there, Sonoris Moss.
Completely out of sync this afternoon, and you don't know where it stems from. I mean, a lot of times they haven't really been all that close in where the quarterback is throwing the ball and the landmark of where the receiver is.
This is Eli's 50th start, 50th consecutive start as well in the NFL. And we talked a lot last week about his progress, but he has certainly taken a step back in the first half today. 2nd and 10. Manning to the outside. And the catch is made by Moss for a Giants first down. And you can hear the crowd react.
It's been a while. It's been a while since something looked efficient in the passing game for the Giants.
From the 40, Reuben Drones. Not much.
It's one of those situations where you start the game and you have that drive that you just go right down the field. And very effective running the ball, a little bit of pass here and there, hit a couple of big plays, boom. You go in, you respond to a quick strike by your opponent. And since that opening drive, it has been a disaster offensively for these Giants.
False confidence, Moose.
Manning on 2nd down. Over the middle. Dropped by Amani Toomer. Charles Gordon on the coverage. So it will be 3rd down and 8. Well, Gordon got a piece of it.
He's got Amani Toomer coming across in the deep end, but here's the combination route to that. Dwight Smith kind of sitting on that. He comes off late. That wasn't a great effort by Jeremy Shockey. I mean, you've got to go full speed on every route. You don't know when coverage is going to dictate that you're going to be the open receiver.
Giants have to get to midfield for a first down. Movement prior to the snap.
That may be their most effective play. No, it's not even on them.
76, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's on the right guard, Chris Snee, Tom Coughlin's son-in-law.
Tell you what, he's working the hard countdown here, but with his offensive lineman getting so many penalties with the lining up and offsides, I mean, that doesn't give Eli any confidence to go back to that and try to draw this Minnesota Vikings defense to get a free play.
It's across the board right now, Tony. I mean, a lot of people are going to focus on Eli, but offensively, as an entire group of 11, they're not playing very well.
Manning in trouble on 3rd down and 13. He threw it away. Ben Lieber with the pressure. And the Giants forced to punt, but first, the 2-minute warning. All Minnesota Vikings. Here are the first. Welcome back. Vikings leading 24-7. Jeff Feagles getting set to punt to Mewelde Moore.
This is
Fair catch called for by Moore at the 21-yard line. Coming up, the Visa halftime report with Kurt, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy. They'll have scores and highlights, and the Fox Sports ticker will bring you all the latest stats. That's coming up on the Visa halftime report.
It's been a rough first half for Eli Manning in this Giants offense.
Eli Manning intercepted twice. The first return for a touchdown is Taylor. And the second interception led to another Vikings score. Vikings with 2 touchdowns from their offense and a field goal on their last drive. Darren Sharper also scored the 5th defensive touchdown by the Vikings this season. Vikings look to get back into the wild card chase, and they would be right there with a victory today.
They really would. I mean, the Giants won a big game against Detroit last week. When you talk about tiebreaker scenarios, with the Minnesota Vikings winning this game, you know, they're putting themselves right back into this race, and they've got a favorable schedule down the stretch.
Timeout called by the Giants. They stop the clock with 1:02 remaining in the first half. Well, later tonight on Fox at 8/7 Central, don't miss an all-new episode of The Simpsons. Sideshow Bob is back with a plan so devious, so hilarious, and so complex that it just might work. The Simpsons all new tonight on 8/7 Central, right here, only on Fox. Longtime Giants fan back in the day, the owner of the Minnesota Vikings, Ziggy Wolf, used to attend games when the Giants played at Yankee Stadium.
Nice short drive for Mr. Wolf to come to this game today.
3rd and 3, and a nice job by the Giants defense, led by Michael Strahan. Giants use their second timeout. They will get the ball back. They stop the clock with 58 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
You just kind of see how Brad Childress works within the framework of his team and the personality that they have. We've seen the Minnesota Vikings punt from the 33-yard line, trying to establish field position. A 2-minute opportunity kind of foregoes that. He's got a 24-7 lead here at Giants Stadium, and you just have to know what you're capable of, what you can accomplish. You know, I think sometimes coaches have to understand this is who we are. And there's always that next step of who we can be, but you've got to play to who you are right now. I think this first half is an example of Brad Childress playing exactly how he feels his team is set up right now.
The corners will let it roll, and it comes to a stop at the 31-yard line. So Eli Manning and the Giants with 1 timeout remaining, 45 seconds to go in the half, trailing by 17.
And really, you're turning the ball over to the Giants offense that has been completely inept since their opening drive of the first half. 70 yards on that opening drive and 61 yards on their last 5. They look completely out of sync throwing the football, which is what you're going to have to do in this situation here.
Giants come out with 3 wide receivers. Moss split to the left, Burris to the right, Toomer in the slot. 1st and 10 from the 31. Manning steps up and now dumps it off. It's incomplete. Bounced away from Drones.
It doesn't matter, you know, who it is. You know, dropping passes, not getting to the right spots on your landmarks. I mean, it's just across the board. It's everybody on this offense. They have got to get at halftime. And one of the leaders on this group has got to step up and challenge these 11 guys to come out and play a heck of a lot better in the second half.
Goose, do you think what has taken place is more on the Giants offense or the job done by the Vikings defense?
I think the Giants are beating themselves on offense. I see catches that could be made, aren't, drops. You know, I don't want to take anything away from the Vikings because they're putting great pressure and they're doing a great job of reading Eli's eyes and making interceptions and making big plays. But the Giants aren't helping themselves at all.
But we've been waiting for them to take that step. You know, the victory last week against the Detroit Lions, the first time that they're playing a team that's kind of on their schedule, in their stadium where they average 31 points. They go in, they have a good defensive day, but not a great day offensively. They still struggle to put opponents away at the end of games, but this is just like the Dallas game a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they were their own worst enemy in that game, and we're seeing the same thing 2 weeks later in another big game.
Now 3rd and 10. Giants have to get to the 41 for a first down. Intended for Shockey. Did it hit the ground in front of Gordon? It did.
These guys are going to have to go in at halftime and make some huge corrections because they're down by, you know, a pretty big margin. They got to come back. They got to go to the air. With this Vikings defensive line, they can not run the ball. They got to go and make these passes right here. They got to make that a completion.
But how many times have we seen that this half, where the receiver's doing one thing and Eli Manning thinks he's supposed to be doing another thing?
Yeah, a lot. I don't know if they're misreading or I don't know what it is, but it's not good right now.
Well, this first half certainly not representative of a team that has the 3rd best record in the NFC, behind only Dallas and Green Bay. Punt takes a Giants bounce and roll. Comes to a stop at the 19-yard line with 13 seconds remaining in the half. Coming up, the Visa halftime report with Kurt, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy. They'll bring you scores and highlights as well as the Fox Sports ticker. That's coming up on the Visa halftime report. The Giants have not trailed by this many points going into halftime since week 3 last season in Seattle, when they trailed the Seahawks 35-3 at the half.
I don't think anybody expected them to be trailing the Minnesota Vikings by 17 at halftime. They have got to get in and get these offensive issues settled.
It's back to the drawing board for the New York Giants. At the half, they trail by 17. The Visa halftime report is coming up next. First half for the Minnesota Vikings. They lead the New York Giants 24-7. At the half, a couple of interceptions for the Vikings. First, Darren Sharper returned this one 20 yards for a Vikings touchdown. And then it was Dwight Smith coming up with his 3rd pick of the season. It led to another Minnesota score. What will the second half have in store for us? We will find out when we return to the Meadowlands.
My brother, my team, my camp, my squad, my house, my cream, my brother, my toast, my all, my queen.
Back at the Meadowlands, Kenny Albert with Darryl Johnston. Vikings lead the Giants 24-7 as we get set for the 3rd quarter. What do you think Tom Coughlin's message to his team was in the locker room?
Well, we've all talked about a different Tom Coughlin this season, but I think we might have saw a little bit of the old Tom Coughlin from last year. Now, he's been intense as ever this year, but I mean, he can't be happy with the way his team played out there offensively. Drop passes, interceptions, penalties. They didn't do anything right. They're going to get the ball here first to start the second half. I think everything's correctable. They're not on the same page, but all season long, this group has just not played consistent, and you can see there the first half, all the miscues that they had. And it's amazing to me that they can come out and win an important game like they did last week against the Lions and come out and have a first half like they did today.
Ahmad Bradshaw on the return. Heath Farwell makes the tackle at the 22. What did you learn at halftime, Goose?
Well, I just talked to Tom Coughlin. He just said pretty much we have to throw to win. We're not running the ball very well. We got them stupid penalties we're having on the offensive line. We're not in sync. And then I got a chance to talk to Brad Childress also. He says he sees something in Eli's eyes, a little lack of confidence. He doesn't know what it is, but he's going to go after him. He's going to bring some pressure on him. He doesn't want him to get that eye of the tiger and have him come out there and throw all over his defense.
And if Brad Childress sees it, you know his defensive players see it. Eli in the first half, just 6 of 20. 2 interceptions. Giants start on the ground with drones. Now keep in mind, in the last 3 games, the Giants have started the second half by going 3 and out. So they have not gotten off to good second half starts. As we check out our fantasy leaders, Tavares Jackson, 60-yard touchdown pass to Sidney Rice on the game's second play. Reuben Drones, 39 yards on the ground for the Giants. For the latest in fantasy stats, log on to foxsports.com. Second down at 11. Manning to the air for the first time in the second half, and it's a bit too far ahead of Plaxico Burress.
I think what they have to do with Plaxico Burress in this half, in the passing game, though, is keep him going vertically down the field. They're not going to be able to do anything where he's got to change direction a whole lot. Just that little bit right there, is going to be a challenge for him. The pressure from the first half, well, now you got to keep Jeremy Shockey in and make sure that Eli Manning has the time to get down the field. But I would like to see Plaxico Burress put in a position where he's just going on vertical routes. You can't ask him to change direction, because over the last 2 weeks, I have seen him not be able to get in and out of his breaks efficiently. And I think that that's one of the things that's contributing to the inconsistency throwing the ball.
Manning steps up on third down, and it's complete to Amani Toomer for a first down, and that is the 600th catch of Toomer's career. He is the first Giant in team history to reach 600 receptions.
I think you need to lean on Jeremy Shockey and Amani Toomer in the second half. Somebody has got to continue this momentum. You've got to get a score on this opening possession just to kind of get all the bad memories from the first half out of your mind. And then a little bit of emotion at the end of the play by Amani Toomer. Do something to get this group something to build on. They've been flat the entire first half.
Hand off to Ahmad Bradshaw, his first NFL carry. And he picks up a first down in Viking territory.
Well, here's a guy who's been very excited about getting an opportunity to carry the ball for the offense. He's done a nice job returning kicks. And let's go back to what we talked about in the beginning of the game. Those two big defensive tackles inside are going to control the run between the tackles. Ahmad Bradshaw gives you a little bit of a burst to the outside. If we're going to run the ball, let's try and get on the edges and take Pat and Kevin Williams out of their ability to make plays.
So 2 consecutive big plays, 24 yards to Toomer, and then Bradshaw gains 11. From the Vikings 44, it's Bradshaw again. 7th round draft pick out of Marshall. And Bradshaw takes it down to the Minnesota 40-yard line before he's tackled by Pat Williams, who tosses the ball at the face mask of Williams.
Sometimes it's better not to know, right, Tony?
Absolutely. Didn't really do a great job, just watching that last play of setting up the draw play. They got to really sell it as an offense. Right now, we're just looking at the stuff downfield and the missed catches and the bad throws by Eli. But it's a combination of everything. Everybody has to get on the same page. The fake's got to be better. The play action's got to be better. The blocking up front has got to be better.
Second down and 6, Shockey. First down. $11 yards from Manning to Jeremy Shockey.
And there's no reason for this offense, with the players that they have at the skill positions, should come out and be as ineffective as they were in the first half against the last ranked pass defense in the NFL.
Giants empty the backfield. Ahmad Bradshaw split out to the left. Manning looks right, rolls right, and then throws it away in the vicinity of Shockey.
You're trying those screens and draws, and you try those things when you're getting a big pass rush up front. But these guys are so aware of Jeremy Shockey and what's going on up front. We talked about selling it. They didn't sell the draw. You got to get up there and you got to pass block and make them work to go get by you. If you let them go too soon, they sniff something out. We saw that right there. Just a wasted play.
But Darren Sharper did a good job of recognizing that little bubble screen to Jeremy Shockey. If Eli Manning would have made that throw, Jeremy Shockey would have got blown up as soon as he caught it.
Second and 10. Pump fake. Now Manning throws, looking for Burress in the end zone. Coverage from second-year corner out of Texas, Cedric Griffin.
But this is going to be how you have to utilize Plaxico Burress the rest of the second half. You can see right there, it's not easy for him. He's going to lose his separation speed. just get him on vertical routes. If you want to sell a little bit of a wiggle there to try and create the separation, but that ankle is to the point now where it's really reduced the number of routes that he's going to be able to run effectively.
Ninth play of the drive for the Giants, their longest drive today. They have to get to the 20 for a first down. That pass high, intended for the fullback, Madison Hedgecock. So the Giants will send out the field goal unit as their drive stalls at the Vikings 30.
I've been impressed with the pressure that Minnesota's been able to get today, Tony, because we knew they were good against the run, but they're really affecting Eli Manning in the pocket.
You know what? The linebackers are really helping them out. They're coming up. They're fake blitzing. You know, we used to call it sugar or smoke. Come up there, make it look like you're coming, and then they're just rushing forward, and they're getting a lot of pressure with just 4 guys.
48-yard attempt, Tony, from the left hash. Lawrence Tynes. And Tynes matching the longest field goal that he has hit this season. So the Giants get 3 points out of their opening drive here in the second half. They trail the Vikings by 14. The Vikings lead is now 24-10 following the Giants field goal. And now the Vikings will go on offense for the first time in the second half. Minnesota looking to win 2 straight games for the first time this season. Kickoff scooped up by Williamson. And Troy Williamson takes it out across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Dave Tollefson with the tackle on special teams for the Giants.
Maybe I should have taken a knee in the end zone.
Tollefson came in full force, didn't he? Woo.
You just don't like to see defensive linemen on the kickoff coverage team.
Tollefson signed last month from the Oakland Raiders practice squad. And now the Vikings go to work, leading by a pair of touchdowns from their own 23. Tavares Jackson in the first half, 6 of 8, 110 yards. This is Taylor up the middle. Chester Taylor gained 37 yards on 16 carries in the first half.
And Minnesota is doing what they need to do to be effective in this game. They haven't been asked to do a lot offensively. They've been very opportunistic. They're taking advantage of the Giants' mistakes, but I think Tavares Jackson had played well in that first half. He hit the big pass to Sidney Rice for the touchdown, but even if you take away that, he's throwing the ball a little bit more downfield and did it effectively.
Second down and 4. Jackson looked to throw, could not find anyone, and he's brought down by Fred Robbins.
That's the one area I'd like to see him make a little bit of a step as the season wears on. Having that mental clock in your head, knowing when the play is down, and do I tuck it and run with it? Do I throw it out of bounds? But he's got to understand that when you start to move, you can't pick that ball back up. I mean, he raised that ball back up, had it out there against these giant pass rushers. You have a good chance of getting hit and having another fumble.
Third down and 4. Vikings must get to the 33. Jackson in trouble. He escapes, picks up a first down and more. All the way out to the 48-yard line. Tavares Jackson needed 4, and he gained 19.
A very quick decision, and with the Giants in man-to-man coverage, once he gets away from the pressure, there is nobody between that group there and everybody downfield. There is just a huge cavity. Jabril Wilson, the first player to get up there, but just a nice, quick decision. It's not there. I've got pressure all around me. Pull the ball down, keep the ball down, and get what you can.
Longest run of Jackson's NFL career, 19 yards. First and 10 from the 48. Jackson wrapped up, gets rid of it to Taylor, but Jabril Wilson was right there to make the tackle. Barry Cofield with the pressure up the middle.
You watch tape on Minnesota and you see this every once in a while. I mean, He'll be all wrapped up. There's no quit in him. He's got a lot of confidence in what he can do with the ball, even in duress. Risky, though. I know Brad Childress doesn't like seeing him.
Jackson, a second-round pick prior to last season out of Alabama State. Started his collegiate career at Arkansas. Chester Taylor into Giants territory to the New York 46-yard line, setting up third down and a long 3.
It was an interesting scenario that Brad Childress talked about with Tavares Jackson, too, when he did go to Arkansas. And had it not been for an injury, maybe he's the guy. Instead of it being Matt Jones, we could have been talking about Tavares Jackson in that role.
Instead, he transferred to Alabama State, closer to home. Grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. Jackson on third down, and the catch is made by Bobby Wade for another Vikings first down at the Giants 41.
That is an area that they have really struggled in, is getting their third down conversions. It's a good job by Bobby Wade. When you play against the Giants, you know it's going to be physical in those first 5 yards. Bobby Wade does a good job of fighting through that and then getting back into the area where the route was designed to go.
Taylor down to the Giants 38-yard line. Steve Spagnuolo, Giants defensive coordinator. Giants going up against the Vikings club today without the NFL's leading rusher, Adrian Peterson. Chester Taylor with 51 yards on the ground following his 164-yard day last week against Oakland.
Just watching Chester Taylor from down here run behind those offensive linemen. I'll tell you what, Hutchinson, Burke, Herrera, they do a nice job of getting pushed. But Chester Taylor, he's a downhill runner. It's so hard to tackle that guy because he has so much force behind his legs. Just keeps going.
Jackson gets away from Strahan. Michael Strahan had Tavares Jackson in his grasp. Jackson broke free and picks up a first down with a gain of 10.
This is impressive right here. I mean, Michael Strahan, you don't see many of these. If Michael Strahan gets to you, you're usually going to get sacked. That's a heck of an individual effort by Tavares Jackson. And now when he gets outside, the good thing is I'm not pulling the ball back up. I'm not going to look. You hear about certain quarterbacks around the NFL. They're at a stage of their progression where when they scramble, they're still looking to throw. Tavares doesn't need to do that at this time. Just get out of the pocket, make something positive.
Michael Strahan playing his first game as a 36-year-old. Celebrated a birthday on Wednesday. Taylor tackled by Wilson after a gain of 3.
You know, Tony, a lot of times it doesn't look pretty and it doesn't even look like it's very effective. And then all of a sudden it's 3.5, 4 when they pull the pile off.
I'll tell you what, there's not big holes down here. It's just the push of that offensive line. I mean, you know, they're into those defensive linemen, and the defensive linemen, their heads are peeking to see where the ball is. And those guys just keep driving. Chester Taylor just keeps, and then all of a sudden you get a Chester Taylor who's 200 plus. I mean, he goes into the back of them and getting more pressure and pressure. Can't hold up. That's a lot of weight.
10th play of the drive for the Vikings. Taylor bounces away from Strahan. And Taylor takes a hard hit at the 22-yard line from Dockery. Kevin Dockery remains down.
Well, Tony was just talking to you about Chester Taylor, how physical he runs. Kevin Dockery's got to get down. I think he caught one right in the stomach. Again, Tavares Jackson, watch the effort by your quarterback. He sees it, it's going away, gets out front, throws a block. Kevin Dockery comes up to put his shoulder into Chester Taylor, but he gets the brunt of the hit.
Quarterback Aaron Ross to a hamstring injury. He returns. R.W. McQuarters replaces the injured Kevin Dockery, and it's good to see our crack camera guy Hardy working hard in the end zone.
You ate too much on Thanksgiving, guys. The turkey wore him out.
Fred Robbins bursting through prior to the snap.
Encroachment, number 98, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So another first down for the Vikings, thanks to a Giants penalty.
They're going on a silent count, so Matt Burke has got his head down. He's got to pick up the signal from Tavares Jackson, and then his head comes back up. A lot of times, if you count 1,001, you can go off that, but it looks like Matt Burke is varying his cadence when he snaps that ball.
Well, he's a Harvard guy.
Watch out for those Ivy Leaguers.
Outthinking the Giants.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That one is called on the 9-year veteran Jim Kleinsaucer. .345 remaining third quarter. Vikings leading the Giants 24-10. First and 15 from the Giants 21. Jackson over the middle. And it's the former Giant, Santi Shanko, with his first catch today against his former team.
Brad Childress has to be happy with the way Tavares Jackson's playing, because he really feels that the whole position is based on decision making. And in this drive, he has been very, very good with his decisions. When he's pulled the ball down, he's recognized man coverage, saw a lot of open space, and picked up some positive yards. When he's throwing the ball, he's coming out, setting his feet, and getting rid of the ball very quickly.
Taylor on 2nd and 2, brought down by Cofield, close to the Vikings' first down. Jackson's numbers on this drive.
Very, very efficient, and this is a devastating drive for this Giants team, because Minnesota is converting third downs, holding this ball. I mean, they are just wearing this clock out right now.
And a key penalty moments ago gave the Vikings an automatic first down. Vikings have already held the ball for over 8 minutes on this drive. About a half-yard shy, so the Vikings now facing a 3rd and inches.
Talked about quarterbacks that scramble to throw the ball. Well, Tavares Jackson comes out. He recognizes man coverage right away. Everybody has their backs turned. There's no sense to pull that ball up and try and find an open receiver. Just tuck it down, get as much as you can get. So he's been very good, not only in his decisions when he's pulled it down to run, but then also when he's throwing the ball. It's coming out quick. He's very decisive with his throws.
Third down and inches. And Taylor is hit in the backfield for a loss of a yard by Jabril Wilson. So a huge tackle by Wilson, and now Brad Childress deciding whether to go for it on 4th down. He will not. He sends out the field goal unit.
Jabril Wilson coming from the top, comes in on block. Tony Richardson picks him up late. He's focused inside. Jabril Wilson comes off that edge. That's a big stop by that Giants defense.
Ryan Longwell hit from 46 earlier. Giants still running players onto the field. Sam Madison came on late, and this 26-yard attempt by Longwell is straight through. So the Vikings once again lead by 17 following a 14-play drive. Vikings with a 9.5-minute drive to extend their lead.
New York comes out, has an effective drive to get 3 points, and Minnesota just comes out and follows that right up. Just absolutely milks the clock on that drive.
Longwell kicks off to Ahmad Bradshaw from the 1. Bradshaw brought down just shy of the 30 by Heath Farwell. Tom Coughlin not very happy with what he's been watching this afternoon. You had a look at the Giants' top 3 running backs on the sidelines. Ahmad Bradshaw in the game. Manning rolling right. Flips one to Shockey. An off-balance flip. And Jeremy Shockey able to make the catch, and he gains 6 yards.
That was impressive by Eli Manning.
Yeah, just to know he was there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the play. You've got Jeremy Shockey blocking a defensive end. You scramble out that way. He scrambled right into the pressure, but pretty heady play to know that Jeremy was there to flip it to.
That was not as it was drawn up in the playbook. Here's Bradshaw. And Bradshaw thrown out of bounds by E.J. Henderson. Looks to have the first down as we check in with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
19-10. Kenny Moose and Goose.
All right, Kurt, it's 3rd and inches for the Giants. Reuben Drones with Madison Hedgecock leading the way, and Drones picks up a first down out to the 43. So the Giants move the chains with a half-minute remaining in the 3rd quarter.
He's really added a little bit of a spark since he's come into the lineup. And with his kickoff returns, there was a lot of energy after the returns, and then when he came in to start this half, there's been a different feel, a different vibe, and I think it really plays to his strengths of where to attack this Viking defense, which is on the edges.
Manning under pressure, throws it away. Again, Ben Lieber coming free up the middle.
You can see Eli's talking to him right now. If he's got to go into the screen, he's got to do his protection first. I mean, you can be a part of that screen element and still have your guy pressure, but you've got to go up. You've got to stop his rush or kind of give him a little bit of a shoulder to influence him to go on. But watch Ben Lieber come clean. That's going to be Ahmad Bradshaw's guy. He's still got to take the time to go up and give him a little bit of a shoulder and then release into the screen element.
Three wide receivers, Drones the lone back. 2nd and 10. Manning's pass is intercepted. Cedric Griffin. And for the Minnesota Vikings, their 3rd pick of the day.
Take a look at the end of the catch. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Oh, maybe not. He didn't control it all the way through. No.
First down.
He's got it.
This is
No.
the end of the 3rd quarter.
He never secures it. He's got to maintain that catch all the way through. He didn't.
It was ruled an interception on the field. We'll see if Tom Coughlin challenges.
He's got it in his hand. Go ahead.
He's got time. He's got time with, the quarter ending. There it goes, guys. It's out.
Tom not sure if he wanted a challenge. He kind of dropped the flag.
very
Walt Anderson's
nonchalant.
way.
New York is challenging the ruling on the field of an interception.
Because he never really has possession, and then when he rolls over, it's on the ground right there. So that's going to come back. That's not going to count as an interception.
The quarter has come to an end. It was ruled an interception on the field. Walt Anderson will take a look at it. Referee Walt Anderson will decide if this stays an interception for Griffin or if it will be a 3rd down and 10 from the 43-yard line for the New York Giants.
Well, he never maintained possession all the way through, so it should be the Giants' ball again.
But you never know, do you, Moose?
I'm not very good at these, Tony. I have to admit, my record is not very stellar.
There must be indisputable visual evidence that the ball came out and touched the ground.
After reviewing the play, the defender never had control of the ball and he hit the ground. It's incomplete. New York will not be charged with a timeout, and there were 2 seconds left on the clock. Please reset the game clock to 2 seconds. 3rd quarter. It'll be 3rd and 10 on the 42-yard line.
Well, you got this one right, Moose.
So the teams switch sides once again. Both teams had their offense out on the field. The Vikings defense trots back out, and the Giants get a reprieve.
I've seen time put back onto a clock when they've gone through the review process, but I've never gone back into the previous quarter before. It's like a time warp right now.
So we still have 1 play remaining in the 3rd quarter. A 3rd and 10 for the Giants. They have to get to the Vikings 47. Manning looking for Burris, and Plaxico makes the catch at the Vikings 25-yard line. No flags. The Giants pick up a first down on a 32-yard pass play, and now Darryl, the quarter once again comes to an end.
But that's a hard matchup. That's where a lot of the pressure has been coming on the last few plays. Rich Seubert's got to recognize that drop and get back to the inside.
We start the fourth quarter. Vikings leading by 17. Giants from the 25. Manning to the end zone, intended for Burris. Cedric Griffin on the coverage.
I don't know, Goose. I'd start working Amani Toomer and Jeremy Shockey. You know, the guy, Amani Toomer or Sonoris Moss, are the two guys I'm going to work right now, because I haven't been able to get on the same page with Jeremy Shockey and Plaxico Burris all afternoon. If we're going to go down throwing the ball, I'm going to go to Amani Toomer and Sonoris Moss at this point.
Moss split to the right. Toomer in the slot. Burris split left. 2nd and 10 from the Vikings 25. Manning from the shotgun. Fires to Burris. Plaxico Burris with another first down reception for the Giants just outside the Vikings 10-yard line.
This is watch him at the top. I mean, you know he's in pain right now. I mean, every time he cuts on that ankle. Tony, we were talking to him before the game, and he mentioned every time he makes a cut, it's ouch, ouch, ouch.
He's got to scream just because of the pain.
Bradshaw and Jones split backfield.
Lever's showing that blitz again, Moose.
Yeah, they're coming to Ahmad Bradshaw's side. They pulled out.
Manning fires, and it's knocked down by Kevin Williams.
You know, that's what they do just a great job of. You don't know when they're coming and not coming. Those linebackers come up to the line of scrimmage. They act like they're coming, then they pull back. And then the next time they do the same thing and they come. So it's a lot of guessing going on for that Giants offensive line and their backs.
They've been giving them a lot of different results out of the same look. As you said, Tony, sometimes it's Ben Lieber with the defensive end dropping out. Sometimes he's faking the blitz, and both your D linemen are stunning on the inside.
10th play of the drive, 2nd and 10. Manning's pass into center, O'Hara in the back. Looked like he was trying to set up a screen pass.
And the one play where you don't really want to block up the blitz all that well is the screen. Let Eli Manning backpedal a little bit, invite that rush, and then dump the ball off. They stoned the two guys in the middle who were on the blitz.
So now a 3rd and 10. Burris split to the right, Toomer in the slot, Shockey split left. Manning on 3rd down, deflected, intercepted. 3rd pick of the game for the Vikings, and it will be taken back all the way by Dwight Smith, 93 yards for a Viking touchdown.
One of the things that you always talk about, Tony, if you're not going to get to the quarterback, get your hands up, fill those throwing lanes.
Yep, and you get that, especially down there in the red zone, because, you know, he's got to throw short passes. He's not going to put a lot of air on the ball. Exactly what happens, the ball goes up in the air. You know, all those DBs are watching, have their eyes on the ball. You get the interception, just what you saw right there. Run back for a touchdown.
Pretty athletic play by Ben Lieber.
Dwight Smith scores his first touchdown since the Super Bowl against Oakland when he scored 2.
And you know it's your day. Everything is bouncing the Minnesota Vikings way this afternoon.
The 3rd longest interception return for a touchdown in Vikings history. 2 touchdowns for the Vikings defense against Tom Coughlin's Giants. Dwight Smith returning the 3rd Vikings interception, 93 yards for a touchdown. The second defensive touchdown today for the Vikings. They now lead the Giants 34-10. Ahmad Bradshaw on the return. Bradshaw out across the 25 as we take one more look at the last Vikings touchdown.
Well, you'll see the difference between a 93-yard interception return for a touchdown and a Giants touchdown. Watch Ben Lieber, 51. See if you can stay in your screen there. A very athletic play. He's going to pressure up the middle and then get back to the outside. Look at Jeremy Shockey. He's ready to catch that quick slant for a touchdown. Ben Lieber kind of drifts back outside, makes a very athletic play to get a deflection on the pass.
I think Ziggy Wolf ran 93 yards down the sideline.
I saw him getting oxygen right after this.
The owner of the Vikings. First and 10 Giants from the 24. Manning to Toomer. Look at Dwight Smith, set a Super Bowl record in Super Bowl 37 with 2 interceptions for touchdowns. He had never scored a regular season touchdown until moments ago. 2nd and 5. Intercepted, 4th of the game, Chad Greenway. And Greenway dives for the end zone. Touchdown. The 3rd interception return for a touchdown today by the Minnesota Vikings.
Man. They'll put that one on Eli right there. That's trying to make a throw that's just not there at this time. Chad Greenway is trailing Jeremy Shockey. He's got a great beat on the ball.
So Eli Manning, for the 2nd time in his career, has been picked off 4 times in one game, both times by the Minnesota Vikings. November of 2005 and again in November of 2007. Early 4th quarter. Vikings 41 and the Giants 10. I was wondering where my flip card went.
That was great.
I've been wondering what the yellow crayon in front of me has been all day.
We haven't heard nuggets from Kenny in a while.
I got one for you, Tony.
All right.
Here's Bradshaw. Tony, you ready for a nugget? 10th time in league history that a team has returned at least 3 interceptions in one game for a touchdown. The league record is 4, set by the Seahawks in '84. And this is the first time the Vikings have ever done it. 3 interceptions for a touchdown in one game.
Tony, it's the Nugget Manual. Right here, I saw him looking in it. This is where they come from.
Kenny, are you cheating?
He's cheating.
You're cheating up there, man?
As Jared Glanville used to say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. 41-10 Vikings. From the 24, Manning to Shockey. Shockey out to the 31-yard line.
Well, I don't know, after today's game, do you think these guys are still going to be last? Their secondary is going to be ranked last in the league in passing?
How about that? That's the one crazy thing is as poorly as this Giants pass offense has played, they've done it against the last ranked pass defense in the NFL.
Unbelievable. Don't look like it the way what we saw today, huh?
Well, they made a change last week in the game against Oakland, and they started to bring more pressure. And as long as they can get home with that pressure or impact the game, then they're going to be allowed to do it. But, you know, if you can stop it, I think that the philosophy they have is we're going to stop doing it.
Manning slinging one to the near side, and Sharper looked to make a play on it.
Well, I think they definitely found their multi-purpose guy in Ben Lieber. But he's come from the outside, the inside. A big impact player today.
For the Vikings, the most points they have ever scored against the Giants. It's the most points the Vikings have scored on any opponent since the 2003 season in a game against Kansas City. The complete to Burris. He's tackled by McCauley at the 45-yard line.
Very, very eerie that, you know, both of the games with Plaxico with 4 interceptions. I mean, you go back to that game in 2005 and it's, you know, 3 returns for touchdowns there. Today it's 3 returns for touchdowns. I mean, that's bizarre. And listening to Darren Sharper and talking to him about this game, he said, you know, we feel real confident. The last time over here, some good things happened to us, and you know, you have that feel when you go play a game.
Nearly intercepted by Lieber. We'll take you back to November 2005 here at the Meadowlands, the last game between the Giants and the Vikings. Darren Sharper with an interception return for a touchdown. Corin Robinson brought a kickoff back for a touchdown. Robinson now with the Packers, and then Muelby Moore, a punt return score. The first and only time in NFL history that a team scored on an interception return, a kickoff return, and a punt return in the same game. Vikings won on a last-second field goal, 24-21. They had under 200 yards of total offense in that game. It was the second of a 6-game winning streak. They finished the season 9-7, their final season under Mike Tice. And today, 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns by the Vikings. Eli Manning and the Giants will go back to the drawing board. A couple of road games coming up in Chicago, in Philadelphia.
Tough. It's tough, boy. I tell you, so much has changed from last week. I mean, they were on such an emotional high last week. Going into Detroit, 6-3 versus 6-3, you get that separation. This game today has just, I mean, I've never seen a reversal in 7 days to how this team played from the way they played last week.
Vikings deep in their own territory. Taylor takes it up to the 10. The Giants will still have the wild card lead following this game. Giants with 7 wins. Detroit has gone from 6-2 to 6-5. They are currently in the number 2 wild card position. And then you have Philadelphia, Washington, Arizona, all with 5 wins. And the Vikings with a victory today will be right back in the race. And they play the Detroit Lions next week.
Now, how big does that game become next week between Minnesota and Detroit? It basically becomes, you know, for the second wild card spot with 4 games to go.
Vikings will host the Lions at the Metrodome next Sunday. Loss of 3 for Taylor as the Giants right tackle Kareem McKenzie is carted off. Darrell, you, Tony, and I will head down to Philadelphia for the Eagles and the Seahawks. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will have the call of the Giants and the Bears.
I tell you, it's starting to get eerily similar to last year too, Tony. I mean, the injuries were the big thing. You go 6-2, 2-6, and the big thing that the Giants talked about was, hey, we had a lot of injuries the second half of last year. They were very healthy, but you go back to last week with Matthias Kiwanuka, now Brandon Jacobs with a hamstring. Kareem McKenzie's getting carted off the field right now. They're starting to get some injuries to some key spots.
You know, we talked about Plaxico Burress too, Liz. I think we should bring it up about, you know, his ankle injury and his ability not to run after the ball and make the cuts. It's almost better if he went and sat a week out and rested that ankle and tried to come back strong, because right now I think he's hurting the team more than he's helping it. I mean, he's a great receiver. I mean, but he just can't do the things that we've seen him do time and time again.
And I think Sonoris Moss at 100% gives you a better opportunity on the outside. Plaxico can't get in and out of his breaks, and as you pointed out, after the catch, there's really not a potential for big plays anymore. I agree, Tony. Let's put him down and see how healthy we can get him.
Would 1 week help, though, in Burris' case?
It might not. He was no better after the bye week.
Rough afternoon for the Giants in 4th quarter. 41-10 Vikes. New Jersey native Ziggy Wilf feels like a rock star today. His Vikings lead his hometown Giants 41-10. And when we spoke with Brad Childress, the Vikings head coach, yesterday, he told us that Ziggy has told him that back in the day, he would wake up sick on Monday morning following a Giants loss. Now Ziggy has those same feelings on Monday mornings after his Vikings lose.
Had to be strange today. You know, the team that was your #1 team pretty much your entire life as a fan of the game, and you get an opportunity to become an NFL owner, and you get that team, and you got to go back home and face your first love.
And Ziggy was early in his ownership reign when the Vikings came here, beat the Giants 2 Novembers ago. So Vikings will make it 2-0 against the Giants under Ziggy Wilf and his family, as Manning is taken down back at the 35-yard line by Fred Evans.
Tony, can you believe that opening drive by the Giants? I mean, how good they looked offensively. And I mean, immediately following a 2-play touchdown drive by the Vikings, they come out and just methodically go down the field, score a touchdown, and then the wheels just absolutely have come off.
Completely come off. I mean, we were talking about it, how it just takes the confidence away from a defense that's #1 against the run, and now all of a sudden you start panicking a little bit. And they didn't panic. I mean, I made a mistake even saying that even thinking that they might have panicked, but they came out and just dominated ever since. And you know, the area that secondary, I mean, they must have gotten a lot of bad press, and a lot of people telling them, hey, you guys aren't that good. They came out today in front of a huge audience and proved that, hey, man, this is a good secondary, especially when you get that pressure up front.
Manning complete to Burris. It was on the Giants' second possession, Darrell, following their good opening possession. On their second possession, Manning was intercepted by Sharper, who returned it for the first of 3 defensive touchdowns. Reuben Drones down to the 6-yard line, brought down by McCauley.
Well, the way that this Vikings defense has played the last 2 weeks, I think that defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier has really got to take a look at, you know what, this pressure element has to stay a part of what we're doing. If we start the game out and maybe it's not getting home or it's not as effective as we thought, we've got to stay with it, because it really seems to play to the strengths of the way the secondary is set up right now. And let's not forget, Antoine Winfield is not on the field today, and he is probably their best overall defensive player.
Third down and 3, Manning to the end zone. Touchdown, Plaxico Burress.
I guess that's why he stays on the field through this injury, Tony. The potential, you know, what he's still able to do, maybe playing at, what, 70%, 75%?
Maybe 70, I think. You know, if he could just go and run that play over and over again, he just does a great job of getting his body in front, and he's got such a wide range, those, you know, that long arm, that long body, just cutting and all the other things, getting down to this red zone that he has a problem with.
Giants don't have much depth at receiver due to injuries, so are you better off with Burress at 70% than not in the lineup at all?
Seems to be their reasoning at this point.
First touchdown in 5, just under 6 minutes remaining. About 2/3 of the crowd has filed out.
Well, on Dwight Smith's interception return, it was, I think some of the people beat them. I think he was beaten to the exits.
Thought it was a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Everyone stood up, just turned around and walked right out.
Which means a quicker trip to the airport for Mr. Johnston. Giants kickoff is scooped up by Charles Gordon. And Gordon brings it out to the 29-yard line with 5:46 remaining in the fourth quarter. So Tavares Jackson leads the Vikings offense back out, and we were all marveling at his record as a starter coming into this game, 4-2. And Darrell, you mentioned earlier, in his 4 wins, the Vikings had averaged 264 yards on the ground, and the story today has been the defense, the interceptions of Eli Manning, 3 returned for touchdowns, but we're less than 6 minutes away from Jackson raising his record as a starter this season to 5-2.
And you can explain it away any way you wish, but the fact remains, he's 5-2. And I mean, they've had, during the four-game stretch that they had won to get to 4-2, I mean, twice they went over 300 yards rushing as a team. And you start to look at it, and maybe, all right, we'll start to poke some holes in this thing. And today, again, the defense has got 3 returns for a touchdown, but the fact still remains he's 5-2 as a starter. I think he followed up a very efficient performance last week at home against Oakland, against a very good defense here in New York. So he's making steps. I was impressed with his decisions today. When he decided to pull the ball down and run, he only had one play maybe in this entire game up until this point that I can think of that he would like to have back, and it's when he started to scramble and he reset the throw, and O.C. Umenyiora came from the backside and knocked it loose and caused a fumble that Bobby Wade was able to recover. But that's really the only play, thinking back, that you didn't look at Tavares Jackson and go, yeah, that's a nice afternoon today.
Jackson on 2nd and 6, slides about 2 yards shy of the marker. Clock continues to run. Jackson missed 4 starts earlier due to assorted injuries. Vikings lost all 3 of Kelly Holcomb's starts. They lost Brooks Bollinger's start against the Green Bay Packers. Giants stop the clock by using a timeout. Next week, the Vikings anticipate the return of Adrian Peterson. The NFL's leading rusher set a league record, 296 yards against San Diego, ran for 224 against Chicago. A guy who slipped to 7th overall in the first round of this past April's NFL draft.
But he is a special runner. He was head and shoulders above all the other running backs coming out in last year's draft class. And he's a big guy. When he was warming up before the game, I was down. I just wanted to meet him and say hello and congratulate him and wish him the best in his recovery. He is a big guy, but has tremendous breakaway speed.
Jackson's pass caught at the 36-yard line by Jeff Dugan. Vikings will punt, 5:20 remaining in the 4th. Peterson did work out here at the Meadowlands prior to the game today. Brad Childress told us yesterday if this were a playoff game, Peterson would have played.
I mean, this is a guy who 2 weeks ago suffered a torn ligament. It's amazing to me, and the way he has come back. They had to slow him down on Wednesday's practice. I mean, he wanted to go. And I think that they all felt, let's give him that extra time. We'll see how we do against the Giants this week. You've got a great guy in Chester Taylor to take those reps now in a very, very critical game for playoff positioning next week against Detroit. They're going to get Adrian back, and it'll be an integration with Adrian back into the offense, kind of like they did in the beginning of the season where, maybe it's a 15 carry day for both Adrian and Chester, but your big play potential is going to be back on the field with a critical game against the Lions next week.
And to think back to Peterson's first 200-yard game against Chicago, he did not start the next week in Dallas. McCorder's on the return for the Giants out to the 27-yard line. Well, tonight at 9, 8 Central, it's another can't-miss all-new episode of Family Guy. That's tonight at 9, 8 Central. Only on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised. You should be home in time for Family Guy, Darryl?
No, I won't. No, I won't. That will be for every other member of the crew. Us heading towards Dallas and LA, unfortunately, won't get to see that. But you and Tony and Pete and Mike, and Fran Morrison, you can't put me in a bad tour continuation.
A lot of East Coast games for this crew, led by our producer, Pete Majeska, director Michael Frank, associate directors Fran Morrison, Judy Wong, broadcast associate Chirag Devascar, technical producer Dan Rotante, technical director Chris Castro. Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate director is Stephanie Medina. Senior vice president of production is Jack Simmons. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. And the executive producers Ed Gorin and David Hill. As Manning goes down back at the 43-yard line, Spencer Johnson with his 3rd sack of the season.
We kind of talked about the Giants last week against Detroit not finishing the game when you're winning. They have 2 3-and-outs. Detroit an opportunity to steal that game right at the end. it's the same thing in this situation. You got to be able to finish this game. And, you know, they're getting sacks, rushing 3 against 5. You know, this group, I know it's been a tough afternoon for this offense, but, you know, everybody's watching this film, and you're turning guys free to your quarterback time after time after time right now.
Manning took a hit as he completes the pass to Burris as we head west to Kurt Menefee. Kurt.
419. Back to Kenny Moose and Goose.
Thanks, Kurt. Seahawks looking ahead to their trip to Philadelphia next week as Manning throws, and it's nearly intercepted by a diving Marcus McCauley.
Yeah, we just had a blitzer turn. Charles Gordon, here he comes, free from the outside, you know, helmet in the back. You know, I don't know. It's 41-17, 3:47 left in the game. He's had a rough day anyways. Maybe we just get him over on the sideline, regroup. Let Anthony Wright come in. Let him work on some stuff. I mean, nothing good is going to happen to Eli Manning in the last 3:47 of this game.
Anthony Wright, who has started 19 NFL games for Daryl's Cowboys and Tony's Ravens. Here's Manning on 4th down, being chased by Lieber. Manning spins inside the 30 and goes down back at the 27. And that pretty much capsulizes what has taken place this afternoon for Eli Manning and the New York Giants.
Yeah, he just doesn't need to be out there at that stage of the game, and it's been a game that has gotten away from the Giants.
Yeah, it's over. Don't even try to, you know.
Nah,
just get him out of there. Don't get him hurt. I mean, with the way they're bringing pressure and they keep bringing pressure. I mean, just get him out of there, right, Moose?
I agree, Tony. And the guys up front just, I mean, 3 plays before that one, it was a 3-man rush, Tony, and they completely collapsed the pocket on it.
Tony, I agree with something you said a couple of minutes ago. I think the Vikings defense got tired of hearing all the criticism. Although they led the league in rush defense, a lot of talk about 32nd against the pass, and they got tired of it.
I just think the game plan was great. I think they did a nice job of going and figuring out they're going to bring pressure up the middle, get it in Eli's face, and once it worked, they just kept with it. I mean, you know, that's smart coaching right there.
3 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Chester Taylor. Taylor all the way down to the 11-yard line. Gain of 13. Well, the last 2 times the Vikings have faced the Giants, 2005 here at the Meadowlands and today. 6 return touchdowns, 4 interceptions for touchdowns, 2 on special teams. Eli Manning picked off 4 times in each game. Has never thrown as many as 4 interceptions in any other game in his career aside from the 2 against the Minnesota Vikings. Dave Corris crunching the numbers for us today, along with Ben Boma, Rick Camps, and Matt Vanovic, our stat crew. Taylor inside the 10, and this will take us to the 2-minute warning. A day to forget for Eli Manning, and the New York Giants lost 26 yards on his last play.
Aaron Sharper on the sideline singing, "I love New York." He kept singing it over and over, New York, and then he stops for a minute, and then he comes back and goes, "And New York loves me." He's having fun on the sideline. And after the games he's had there the last 2 times. Kenny?
Wow. A combined 4 interceptions, 2 touchdowns his last 2 trips to New York. And he told us yesterday, if we win this game, we are back in it. It is the pivotal game in our season. And the Vikings with a victory today will be only 1 game behind the 2nd wild card spot in the NFC, currently held by Detroit, who they will play next week.
How big is that game next week? Unbelievable. And then you look at what they have down the stretch. We'll have to see how Washington hangs in there. Out of conference, the last game of the season against Denver.
Well, be Moore tackled at the 8. Giants will head on the road for a couple in Chicago, in Philadelphia. Turn home against Washington. And you wonder how important the final game of the regular season will be for the New York Giants.
Yeah, boy, you know, it could come down to, you know, maybe a win and get in situation. You don't want that with the Patriots possibly going for an undefeated season, but you know, they start off a tough stretch. You know, it's the big game next week, the 4 o'clock game against the Bears next week. That Philly game the week after that is going to be huge, as Philly's going to try and battle their way back. They've got New England tonight.
Welby Moore is stopped a yard shy of the goal line.
Might have enough for a first down, though.
Clock stops with 22 seconds remaining. Adrian Peterson all smiles on the Minnesota sideline. Vikings did pick up the first down.
You think they're going to punch it in here, Moose, or you think they're going to go and sit on it?
Yeah, they won't even run a play. They're going to walk off.
So the Minnesota Vikings, thanks to 3 touchdowns from their defensive unit, defeat the New York Giants by the score of 41-17. Darryl, Tony, and I will return to the Meadowlands right after these messages. 41-17 Vikings.